This webinar. So today, in partnership with Ortec, which is the world leader in the smart algorithms for pallet, route, and load optimizations. So we'd just like to cover one or two slides on DGTL, and then we hand over to Jason to give us a walkthrough of Ortec solutions and talk about some success stories, how Ortec can help companies in terms of optimizing their supply chain. So we are basically a digital transformation company. We are trusted advisors and technology solution providers to some of the global enterprise and mid-sized customers. And our focus is around four areas, which is digital, consumer technology, connected solutions, and user and customer experience. So these are some of the services offerings, basically under digital analytics, IoT, and then we do also have a pretty good practice of SAP consulting, where we are helping customers on the technical side, as well as the integration, as well as the HANA Cloud Platform adoption. So we are basically resellers and channel partners for some of the niche products in master data management. Then we have Ortec. We're basically into the load, pallet, and route optimization. Then we have solutions around RPA, chatbots, health and safety solution, then innovation management platform. And talking about the technology partnership, so we are partners with Automation Anywhere. We are Google Cloud partner, SAP partner for the open ecosystem. We are also basically part of Startup India and Make in India initiative for Government of India, and we are closely working with them for certain areas. Talking about the global clientele, so these are some of our prestigious customers with whom we are working on various digital transformation areas and helping them to get ROI and real value out of their investments. So DGTL was awarded the Emerging Company of the Year for 2020 by Indian Achievers Forum. So this is one of the recognition which we have recently got. So the focus today is on our partnership with Ortec. So Ortec basically has product and services for optimized fleet routing, dispatch, workforce scheduling, delivery forecasting, logistics network planning. So we will basically hand over to Jason to take us through a couple of slides and a short or a brief demo about the solution. And if you have any questions during the when you can basically make a note of it, and we can have a Q&A session after Jason's presentation. Thanks. Over to you, Jason.
Thank you, Manif. I appreciate the introduction. Just a little background on myself. My name is Jason Lafata. I'm an account manager here at Ortec. I've worked at Ortec for about 15 years now, and my focus is on our SAP solution portfolio. So our products really embedded in SAP. Just give me a second. I like to share my screen.
Let me just stop sharing.
Okay, so I'm going to share my other monitor. Second. Okay, I'm going to just turn off my video during the presentation. I think I'll come back on just after that, so we can. So I'm looking at the right way. So 1 second here. Okay, so a little bit of background about Ortec. Well, first about the agenda. What I will do is I give a brief introduction of our company, and then I'll talk a little bit about one of the solutions that we have, which is embedded in SAP. And what I brought to you today is 3 different scenarios that maybe you can take a look at. They're just examples of how other companies are using our products, and maybe you can see if this might relate to your business in any way. And I've also put together some value assessments that we've done for other industry customers, and I can also share those results with you. So I hope this brings some value to you. Again, if you have questions, I think we'll open the questions up at the end, but if it's possible, I'm also open to take it during the presentation. So let's jump right in. Ortec, we have about 900 employees. We have 19 offices around the world. I'm in Germany, where we have 2 offices, one in the north by Bremen, where I'm at, and one further south in Heidelberg. That's just outside of Waldorf, where SAP is located. And for your information, our headquarters is in the Netherlands. Also, if you can't hear me or something's not clear, I might be talking too fast, then please somebody let me know. So some information about Ortec, who we are. What we like to say, or what our purpose is that we want to improve the world using our passion for mathematics. What we believe is really the core of Ortec is our mathematics. So what we mean by that is we hire many mathematician PhDs. We work with many universities around the world to improve our algorithms, which we believe is the core of what brings value to customers, or at least to our customers. So a little bit more detail about that. Ortec believes that there's 3 pillars of sustainability for companies. First is people, the planet, and obviously the profit. And we think that all these 3 components are connected to each other in a way. So to explain, Ortec, through the use of mathematics, we lower costs by taking maybe reducing the number of containers that are loaded, or reducing the number of trucks that are on the road, or even reducing the number of kilometers. So this has a direct impact on the environment in terms of CO2 gases. But also, if we think about advanced planning and getting the optimal transport set up, well, we're also potentially meeting customer time windows more frequently. We're loading trucks in a better way so products aren't damaged, or even for the employees that we're building safe trucks. So we're considering things like axle weights. So all this in Ortec's world, and also what we've seen that brought value at customers, is really through the use of mathematics. We have different areas of solutions at Ortec. We have a division for logistics. We have a logistics for a division for finance. We also have a division for analytics and consulting around analytics. But today we're just focusing on our solutions in the logistics area, and particularly just 2. We have our solutions for SAP, which I'm going to focus on today. But as an overall picture in our logistics space, we have solutions for strategic optimization all the way to operational planning. So for strategic, we mean things like where to locate your depots. What if one of the depots closes down? How will that affect my overall profit? What if, or how much stock should I put at different DCs, or how much of which quantities? So things like that on the strategic level, and to the operational level, really planning the trucks, the fleets to deliver and track all the way to the end customers. So we have a broad range in our logistics profile, but again, just focusing on just a small area today. Some of the representative customers that we that use our products, in particular SAP solutions. Manav also mentioned a couple that also ring also to this customer base. But we're pretty, but it's being used quite a lot in CPG, manufacturing, as you see, food and beverage, building materials, also metals and chemicals. But this is just a small preview of some of our customers. And many of these have solutions on global templates as well. So it's really implemented in SAP on a global scale in multiple countries. Okay, so without further ado, I'll jump into the solution. And the solution that, again, we'll be talking to you today is our SAP solution. We have actually, there's, just to clarify, we have 2 solutions. One is OS4, which means Ortec for S4HANA. And then we have another one, Ortec for SAP, which is meant for the ERP solution. What I talk about today really speaks for both of these solutions, but just to let you know, we have a solution for their SAP's current ERP and the one that will replace ERP, which is S/4HANA. So just a few high-level points about this solution before I get into the scenarios I mentioned. All these solutions, or both of these solutions, are completely integrated in SAP, which means there's no interface, and that's I think a really big upsell when we talk about this particular, when we talk about SAP. There's no master data maintained outside of SAP. It's so no external databases. We use only the master data that's in SAP. And it's also the look and feel of the SAP experience. And some of the really nice things that since we're inside the SAP environment, well, we also integrate into the standard planning processes. Which I can show a bit later. It'll make a little bit more sense. And the other thing is that we have the possibility to just have everything optimized. So one example was a situation here in Europe where every single transport the company required that had to be planned through Ortec, which means every single shipment that was created using this solution was optimized. So you can really limit the so if you had an external solution, there may be ways that we can skip the optimization, but we have ways to set this up so that every single transport is really fully optimized and standardized across your business. Important to mention is the solutions that we offer are SAP certified, and they're even SAP Premium certified, which is actually another level of certification SAP offers. Where they check the coding for redundancy, security, quality. And that took quite a bit of effort on our part, but something we're also quite proud of. And obviously, we've been working as partners with SAP for many years. Okay, some more high-level information about the solution that we're talking about today. There's 4 main modules, one for carton optimization, one for pallet optimization, vehicle space optimization, and also delivery optimization. These individual, we call them modules, can be implemented depending upon the needs of your company. So you can pick one or multiple modules. For example, cartonization we're using quite often in medical and pharmaceutical, but also more recently for order fulfillment as more and more products get delivered through fulfillment companies. So that's been quite popular now. Palletizing loading if you're looking to improve warehouse processes or improve load utilization, and also routing. What's unique about our solution is that they can work together, which is very, I think, unique, is that we're planning the best route. We're selecting the best truck for that route. And there could be multiple truck types or truck sizes depending upon the end customer that we're delivering to, or different loading strategies depending upon which customer we're delivering to. On top of that, we also need to consider the truck type when we're building pallets, which is quite interesting. I have one example to share with you here. So traditionally, what we see is that we have pallet and load building. We are building. Sorry, was there a question? It's a bit hard to hear. Okay, so what I was saying is when we consider the truck that we're using for delivery, or maybe even a container shipment overseas, we're seeing a lot of, or traditionally we're seeing pallet builds and truckloads, something similar to this. It seems logical. The truck is full, and we have some other pallets that may be shipped at another time. But if we think about advanced algorithms, how can we plan these products in the same truck? Well, with our algorithms, we can break apart these pallets to create either loose loading on top or break apart the picking so that we have multiple pallets to fit on that particular, in that transport. This is a bit difficult to do without optimizers, but something that we can do, create a result like this in just a few seconds. And also based on business rules that we define early on. So it's not everybody just making up their own rules as we load the truck. It's a standardization across your business. Okay, so I wanted to show 3 processes today, just to hopefully maybe one of them might be something that your business might have. But these are, again, just examples. The solution is very flexible and it could be implemented in many different ways in SAP. And that's kind of the beauty of the solution, is that it's very flexible. It offers more flexibility than would be possible in standard SAP. So the first solution is haulage. How can we create the optimal utilized full truckloads or full container loads, and also maybe considering priority? Another scenario I like to show is order management. So how can we give sales teams, even early on upstream, the ability to really participate in getting full truckloads? And the third scenario, more traditional, transportation planning. So how we combine multiple orders or multiple customers, or just create combine multiple documents to create full truckloads, maybe considering different consolidation rules. But this one is primarily used for last mile distribution, but it could be used for, again, many different scenarios. Okay, so the first scenario, again, it could be used, the idea is that we want to create full truckloads. Typically, this is from an A to B, so just not multiple customers, but intercompany. It could be based on some demand, or if you're doing any vendor managed inventory. In the US, we do it what's called mega orders, where we have just large orders that need to be split over multiple containers or trucks, or any other haulage processes. And I hope you're familiar with SAP, or the terminology. What we see is, I'll jump ahead one slide. Is we have standard SAP process flows, kind of limits the way we can create a good optimized truck. So what we see is that we have, we call them stock transfer orders. So these are orders to move from one location, could be intercompany, or to another DC. So we have one stock transfer order, typically is one truck, and there's no, not much flexibility. It's a one-to-one connection. So we have maybe underutilized trucks, or maybe some of the products are loaded into a truck that are heavy, and that reduces, also could create axle violations, also reduces the overall volume that can be loaded in any particular transport. So this started in the US. What we're doing is called, we like to call it upstream planning, where we create full truckloads. So this is a backwards way of thinking. So we take STO documents and we're breaking them up into item lines. These item lines are then optimized into truckloads, and it could be here based on priorities. So we see the higher priorities are loaded first. The lower priorities are then loaded in subsequent trucks. So if the last one's not fully utilized, maybe it's not a good idea to ship that one. But this also gives us an option to balance really heavy and light products over multiple trucks, so that we have good, or containers. So we have utilization in volume and weight evenly distributed across multiple trucks. And that gives a better utilization, obviously. I'm going to show an example in the system just to break this up, and then I'll come back to this use case that we did for chemicals and lubricants. So just are you able to see my screen? Manif, can you tell me if that's, you can see the SAP screen?
Yes, Jason, we are able to see your screen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a standard SAP ECC environment. Again, this is also available for S/4HANA. And I've created here some of my favorites just to show you quickly. And what I'm going to show you is a manual process. So in the foreground, how companies are using this could be really automated. And I'll explain that when I walk through it. But just as a manual process, what I'm doing is just going into one of our transactions. And we have two main planning boards. The first one is this truckload optimizer. And going in, I'm just going to plan just some documents just to see how that's working in the last example I showed. So in this example, I'm just showing SAP sales orders. It could be any other document, stock transfer orders, purchase requisitions, deliveries, whatever you are planning with or whatever might make sense in your business. So here I just select these documents, and you can see now they're really SAP documents. I'm going to bring them into a planning bucket, and now they're not SAP documents anymore. They're only line items within that were in those documents. The second thing I'm going to do is select resources, and in our world, a resource could be a truck, a driver, a driver connected to a truck. It could be a container, but just what we're loading the products into. So I select them. To just select these. And then I do a planning. So right now we're running an optimizer. These are many different truck types or container types, and each one also has a priority to them. In a minute, you'll see the optimization result. And here we have 3 tours, and a tour is really just a container. On the right-hand side, we see different utilization. We can see in the first 2, the floor spots are full, and we have a weight and volume utilization. If we were running this in an automated way, it would something that would happen overnight, and then we'd set thresholds in the weight and or volume. So if it reaches a certain volume, maybe 80% or 75%, it'll automatically in the background create all the subsequent SAP documents. So if you're at sales order, we'll create a delivery and then a shipment. And in the morning, everything can be ready and picking can start. In this case, we can take a look at one of the transports. So this might be a planner intervention. I'm showing you again in the foreground. We see, okay, this truck is very well loaded. We have no axle violations. That one looks pretty good. The second transport also looking pretty good. And visually, the third one is underutilized. So here the one option would be to just release the first 2 for shipment and picking, or maybe another option would be to remove this third one. So we can release the first 2, and then we have, again, the quantities. We also have some priorities, and the priorities could be assigned by a demand planning system. We have customers that are using APO, Outperform, whatever demand planning your system, we can get that information and assign priorities, or it could be even by need by date. But we also have the option to adjust quantities right here. So I'm just going to change the quantities of this first one just for an example, and then replan. And now we're using the quantities there to create more. So now we see we have another transport here that has, well, 99% utilization. We take a look at that. Okay, so that trip looks really good. And now we can release also that one for shipment. And the rest of the products in this little one, well, let's not ship those today, and we can reduce either the quantities, but in the background, the solution will automatically update quantities in the SAP documents to create these full truckloads and also the SAP shipment. Okay, so that's one example. And now, how's this work? How's this giving value to customers? So this is excuse me, a case that we've done for the chemical business and lubricants. We did some simulations before we started the project, and in this case, they were planning 117 trucks. We did an optimization, and we got 11 trucks less. So where we saw the gains was again on volume. We're able to spread this out over multiple trucks, and also the weights, which was much more limiting. You could see here that we got a much better weight utilization. So this is seems kind of small, 11 trucks, but this particular customer has this was one shipping lane for a 2-month period, and this customer has 800 shipping lanes. And if we look really at the savings for 1 year, between 33 and 99,000 euro. But if we multiply this by 800, if we talk about all the shipping lanes, the savings is really, I think, astronomical. If we're looking at my wallet. So the next scenario I have is an order. So how do we give sales teams the right tools to optimally size orders? And this is something also that's fairly new, because it's not really possible in SAP to do this. But what we're going to give, probably better to show you in the planning in the environment. So 1 second. So I think you're familiar with I hope familiar with the SAP sales order. And I'm very daring here to do a live demo. I know this is also not so, usually something goes wrong, so I hope not, but things do happen. But this is a risk I'm willing to take here. So what I'm doing is just creating a general SAP sales order. And you can also see how integrated we are within the SAP environment. So typically now a planner doesn't know what the utilization is, and typically it wasn't really a job of someone taking an order to really fill a truck. But this makes it really easy. We have on a header level, we have it's called loading and routing, which is Ortec for SAP. We have some information about the utilization of the truck already, but we can also run a simulation depending upon which truck types this customer has. This customer has allowed 2 truck types, which is a large, 40-foot truck, and then a truck and trailer smaller combination. So we could see already that there's again, based on the products that this customer is ordering, that there's no axle violations, but there is some space in the truck. We also have the possibility to say, all right, well, which of the products that the customer ordered might be able to be utilized to fill the truck. So we can see here that we flagged us only one item, but we can see that, call it load rounding, that these 2 additional items will fit on the truck. And this is another way to kind of either upsell the customer, or maybe it's just a nice customer service to say, look, we're 2 pallets over. If you take one off the order, then we'll have a nice full container to send you, and everything will be mostly utilized. So it's maybe some additional service for a customer. If the customer had other orders in the system, we can also see it in a consignment so that it would consolidate these orders directly right here in the sales order screen for the customer service rep. Okay, and obviously I mentioned we can choose the best truck size per order. So in that case, we had, it could have been a 53-foot truck and then a smaller truck or a smaller container, or maybe you're looking to just minimize loading length. Maybe you're charged by the loading meter. That's also possible to try to reduce that also at that level. So it can choose the best truck or the best combination of trucks for any particular order or customers. Okay, so the next scenario I was going to show was really transportation planning. So traditional last mile, or it could be used in other ways too. So one example we see quite often, here we're combining deliveries. That's typical to this particular scenario. We have a number of deliveries and we want to create an SAP shipment. How do they fit in the truck? What's the best way to deliver them to the customer? And typically we also see that, typically when you're using an external routing system, maybe things don't really fit into a truck, and then you got to bring it back into SAP, delete some of the quantities of the delivery or sales order. There's some type of problem is going to cost downstream when things don't fit, whether it's not in the warehouse or that just doesn't fit in the truck, or maybe a truck's underutilized. With this solution, you already see advanced how full a truck is, but we're also able to take deliveries. If there's one delivery to one customer, we can split that and create a second SAP delivery. And that's a function of this solution. I won't show it today, but I wanted to mention that. That's quite unique. And we're seeing this being used in a different way. We call it mega orders, where there's one order that can fit over multiple trucks. This solution can handle that as a standard. So just creating multiple deliveries to create multiple shipments in a planning board. Okay, so that's the last scenario I wanted to show, and that would be here. And so this is the second plan board I mentioned. Obviously, we're integrated in all the SAP documents, but when we talk about planning, we have the previous one I showed you, as well as this one. So what you're seeing on the bottom here are SAP documents to be planned. In this case, they are deliveries. But they could be purchase orders, purchase requisitions, and the solution will manage the SAP document flow in the background. On the right-hand side here, you see containers or trucks. In this case, they are trucks. We have each of the truck has a driver associated with it, or it could be a third-party transport company where you have multiple that we can use. But we have three different truck types. So to do a planning, we select the truck types. The order is already selected. You can see we have 12 deliveries selected, about 51 pallets. And to do an optimization here, we just do what's called a complete solution. And this is nice, I think, because it really standardizes the process. Everything is automatic. It's based on business rules that we define ahead in a project. And what we see as a result is three transports. The first one is a bay truck, and then we have a 20-foot truck and a 40-foot truck. And then we have different stops and also registration if we have to take any breaks. We also have a lot of data that we can use, and we use this also for analytics and dashboards that Ortec provides to show utilization of trucks, so we can see down to a pallet level or different distribution centers or warehouses, what type of utilization are we really achieving there. This is all saved in SAP and can be used for your business analysis. So we see here, this one's only 50% full. In addition, when we use the routing, we calculate the time that we need to prepare or load the truck. That's based on how many pallets that we load in the truck. And then we start loading the loading process earlier so that we meet our first customer delivery. Here, the first customer time window starts at 9. So that's when we're going to arrive at this particular customer. And then we unload, takes 10 minutes to load, and then next drive into the next customer. We could see in the truck how full it is. We can also see some other things. I'll jump into another truck. So we see this truck here, the particular customer requires that a forklift is on board so that we can take it off the truck or something like that. But we can also get information that's valuable for the warehouse. So how is my truck loaded? So this information, we have customers that use this on their forklift for their staging processes. So we can see the most optimal way to load the truck based on the route that we're delivering to. We can also see, so this is colorized right now by the customer because we have 3 customers on the truck. We can also look at it in a different way for maybe by item numbers. You can see here, this is a mixed pallet, which we can take a look at. And then we can also see how the pallet is built, which might be important for picking, which obviously we also offer warehouse solutions, but we can work with also warehouse solutions that you might be using. So we can create the optimal pick for this pallet. We can consider really the bins in the warehouse to maybe reduce the time it takes to build your pallets. So between pallet building and loading, there's a lot of more benefits you can imagine in the warehouse. We can also look on a map to see how the route was planned. Takes 1 minute. So you can see we started at depot and we have these three trips. It's also possible to, I don't know, if we wanted to plan directly in the map, we can take an order. You can see that it's also highlighted here as we select them. We know which actual customer we're talking about and quantities. We can even plan trips right in the map. So with drag and drop, you can also drag and drop within in this grid as well. This was an unfortunate violation. We can see that, well, it's a capacity violation. So the products don't fit in the truck with the manual move that I made. You're also seeing here about how the crow flies. We're calculating on the road, and we can show that as well if you're interested to see that. But for calculation, for visuals, it's much faster to just show it like this. Okay, and maybe one point, there's a lot more to the solution, but just to mention, when we're finished and we're satisfied, we click this button, and what will happen is we'll release this trip in SAP and create the SAP shipment document in the background. And in that, we'll have all the stages of the trip. And also, if we assign it to any particular 3PL, it'll also be assigned there on the shipment. Okay, so I have maybe just 10 more minutes, so I can just show a couple couple saving scenarios. So this was another scenario for steel through Europe on the road. It was mostly about the routing part of it that we did. And we had a baseline here you can see, and then we ran different scenarios about how we mix products, how we can rotate products on the transport. So we had a baseline. This particular customer had 8,000 transports a year, and through the different scenarios, we were loading, well, we were able to get these products into a lot fewer trucks. And even in some cases, we can see that the baseline also had violations. So they were already overloading their trucks, and we run scenarios where we did not overload the trucks, but in that case we even still used less trucks than what they planned. So we had there was quite a bit of savings with this particular customer, and more importantly, we had some transports that were overloaded. 639 transports were over capacity, which is not a good thing. You can imagine. So this was quite an interesting study that we did. So I think I have some more scenarios, some saving scenarios to show, but I wanted to just, I think I will stop it there. I don't know if there's questions, but probably the point I want to make now is I showed different scenarios. I hope they maybe triggered some thoughts in your mind on how your company could benefit from some algorithms at any point in your planning process. But if you do think there's any needs or you want to improve, then we'd really like to talk to you about using the advanced algorithms to make savings, to make the environment better, and really to hopefully make everybody happy. And that's all I have today.
Thank you, Jason. That was a wonderful session. And
Thank you.
You have given us a very in-depth knowledge about it. Now I open the platform for everyone else. If you have any questions, then please feel free to ask from Jason. You can unmute yourself and you can ask the question. In case you have any feedback, you can also share it with us.
Yeah, hi Jason, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So I have noticed you were saying multiple times that it was completely integrated with SAP, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you brief about that, how it is working and actually that connectivity and all those steps?
Yeah. So the solution is what we call it. It's an SAP add-on. That means well, it's certified by SAP first. That's very important to us. But if we look, once you implement the add-on, there's some master data. We can look at it a little bit if you like. So if we look at the, good. Am I going the right way, or is this going the wrong way with your question?
No, you're right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we have the customer master, for example. We use all the data points that are in SAP where we can. So for example, the unloading points or the goods receiving hours, we'll use that for the customer master. But once you put the add-on on the system, there's also some additional master data that's required for our solution. And it can be required, so it can be used or not be used. Like one example might be, well, the SAP time windows are very strict. You cannot exceed them. But if we're going to save a little bit of money, maybe we can offer a little flexibility and say, give the algorithm 5 minutes to go over. It'll try to get it within the time frame, but it'll allow it to, if it's going to save a transport or another truck going out, then it can be more flexible to plan it within 5 minutes later. So it's all integrated in the master data that's there, and then we can also use it. The only thing that's outside of SAP is our algorithm engine. That's something that calculates the result and feeds back directly into the SAP system. So you don't leave the SAP environment, but it's all integrated in all their processes.
So this is completely integrated only with SAP. We cannot integrate with any other ERP system. Is that right?
Well, no. This is our SAP solution, so it's. Well, I'm speaking mostly of this, but we have also cloud optimizers. We have solutions that can be on premise that run on Windows environments. So that's also a possibility. The integration is much nicer when it's in SAP, as you see, because it's in the processes. If you're using SAP, I recommend this solution over that.
Understood. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Are there other questions? Of course, if you have more questions after, if you talk to your business, and happy to answer them too, just contact Maniv, and we can work through any questions that you have after the fact.
Sure, Jason. Anybody else has a question for Jason? Like, so we can cover up. We have time, 5 minutes. I think, Jason, if there are any follow-up questions, I think we'll get on the email so we can share it with you.
No problem. That's great. That'd be great. But I hope everybody saw some value in there. But happy to again answer any questions that may come up later.
Sure. Thanks for your time, and thanks everyone for
Yes.
joining this webinar. I hope it was insightful, and Jason was able to give insights on the load route and optimization solution.
Then have a nice
Thanks.
have a nice evening.
I think we will end the session. Thanks. Yes.
Bye-bye.